Hi, everyone. Welcome to Adobe ColdFusion Summit. And my name is Alicia Dvorak. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen that has our presentation. So thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about Beyond CFPDF, and we're going to introduce you to a number of Adobe APIs to supercharge your document creation and processing. So today I have with me Ben Vanderberg, and he's our principal technical evangelist. And my name is Alicia Dvorak, and I am a product marketing manager on the Document Cloud side. And so I handle go-to-market for all of these PDF APIs that we have that are relatively new to Adobe and Document Cloud. I used to be on the ColdFusion team, so those of you that don't know me, I used to spend quite a lot of time on ColdFusion. I'm happy to be back with you today. So let's go over the agenda really quickly. One, I want to introduce those of you that are not familiar with Adobe Document Services to the different APIs that are available and what kind of functionality we have and the direction that we're taking these products. And then we want to deep dive into two new APIs or relatively new APIs, Document Generation API and PDF Extract API. And the reason being is that we realize that ColdFusion provides a breadth of functionality around PDF generation and all kinds of different document manipulation capabilities already. And so these ones we feel are going to be really exciting for all of you that are building applications, whether it's with ColdFusion or other technologies as well, but specifically for ColdFusion. And then we want to get into using the Adobe APIs inside of ColdFusion, just give you some tips and tricks on how to get started with that within a ColdFusion or a Java environment specifically. And then we do have some really great integration capabilities for automation and low-code, no-code automation through Microsoft capabilities and Power Platform. And so we'll get into a little bit about that and show you how that works too. So let's get started. First, I wanted to start off with all of the challenges that you developers are facing. Number one, you're working with documents that might not be usable. They're very difficult to manipulate. They're in lots of different formats. You also have problems with restricted processes and different hybrid processes. Some of them have been automated. You might have what's called technical debt, where you're dealing with legacy systems and legacy processes and some hybrid new modernized processes. And then there's also this ecosystem of different applications that specifically developers are very challenged with because they're not built to talk to each other. And so that's why having APIs generally makes it easier to basically leverage new functionality in your applications very easily and quickly. And then, of course, all the while improving security and compliance through all of these different productivity workflows that you're trying to build and applications that you're trying to build, that were due yesterday, basically, right? And so those are a lot of the different challenges that you as developers or application owners might face. And when bringing in Document Cloud, many of you might not be as familiar with the capabilities that we have. I think most of you are probably very familiar with Acrobat as a product and our productivity applications. And so there's two different buckets that we're thinking about in terms of solutions that we're bringing to market. One of them is, the Acrobat and the other applications that you are already very familiar with. And then the other one is just automating and transforming your business through programs, so programmatically. And so we want to focus on this other bucket today, automation, programmatically, even through some of these integration capabilities with Microsoft. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So when we talk about Document Cloud and Adobe Document Services in general, again, as I said, we've got a full suite of different applications that are desktop and mobile apps. We've got Adobe Sign, which many of you might be familiar with, and then integration capabilities through partners and productivity workflows. But Document Services is a whole suite of PDF APIs that allow you to do a number of different capabilities and really programmatically manage all of your documents. And so you do have the ability, if we look at the bottom row here, for creation, so rich creation of documents with your own data being injected into those documents. So thinking about document generation and templating, and we'll get into a little bit more about what that looks like. And Ben is going to show us as well some really cool demos. And then Adobe Sign. So Sign has an API as well that you can use programmatically, as well as a connector that we'll talk about later on in Power Automate, to allow you to add that digital signature and really have a legal signature on these documents. And then the capability for transformation. And as I said, ColdFusion also provides a breadth of these different types of transformation capabilities, but just adding things like, if you have a scanned document and being able to make that fully text searchable, for example, through OCR, or securing documents with a password, doing things like that. And then publishing capabilities through our PDF Embed API that allows you to really have control over the user experience of somebody viewing a document on your website. And then you can add rich analytics to that too, through either Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics. You can get those user insights through the PDF Embed API. And then what's really cool, and I'll talk to you about that later, and what I'm super excited about, is the PDF extraction capability, because it leverages AI and machine learning to be able to extract content in context and with reading order. So I'll talk a little bit more about that as we deep dive into those capabilities as well. But you can see there's a wide range of different capabilities that allow you to innovate your document solutions very easily and very quickly through these cloud-based APIs. And so when we talk about PDF services, I want to give you an idea of what that looks like. We have at least 15 different API capabilities that allow you to do different types of functionality. And again, like I said, we'll focus today on document generation and extraction, because those are the areas where I think might be more interesting to any application developers that might be on the call today. But just know that there's a whole wide range of different capabilities, like compressing a PDF so that you can share it out via email and then store it later. Or maybe protecting a PDF through adding a password, or converting a PDF to multiple different formats like Word or Excel, for example. So just the capabilities to be able to transform documents and add functionality to make those workflows and customized workflows that work for you is great. So to get us started, I want to hand it off to Ben to show us what document generation is all about.
All right, thank you very much there. So let me just quickly share my screen. So the main concept of document generation API is really to some concepts that many people were probably familiar with, but it's taking data that we have from any of our data systems, whether that's databases, CRM applications, employee records, and taking that data as JSON data and being able to merge that information into document templates. And document generation API uses Microsoft Word templates as the basis there, because one of the philosophies that we believe is that creating templates often ends up being left to developers to have to recreate something that people created in some sort of code. We want to make that extremely easy for people to be able to use. So what we've done is we've created document generation service, and it's including a tagger inside of Microsoft Word. So you can then pass to our API your template in Microsoft Word and that data and output either a PDF document or a Word document. But our whole goal is also making that very easy for people to be able to tag those. So to show you a little bit of what I mean here, in Microsoft Word here, I have this template for this offer letter that needs to go out to a candidate here. And if I go up to the top here where we have our document generation button here, this is where we can use this to be able to tag our document. Now, if our developer already has a data structure available, we can just simply paste that data into there, and it creates an authoring environment where now I can easily go in here and directly in my document search for any tags. I don't have to be a developer or know anything about code. I can just simply go in here, search for, say, like first name, and it gives us it finds the tag inside the structure. I can simply choose that, insert that directly into the document here. So we can do that for a couple of other things. Let's say, for example, we add street. We place that in there. We'll add a last name, and you can keep going and adding all of the different fields inside of here. Now, one of the other benefits is for someone who's designing a template like this, you want to know whether the output is going to be the way that you intend it. So you can also click on this Generate Document button here. And what it'll do is it'll take your template as well as the sample data that we provided before, merge those up together, and then give us a quick preview of what that looks like. So if I switch over to my web browser here, we can see that then it has merged that data, the Mary Burostone and the street, into there. Wonderful. And we can keep doing this with all the other tags in there. But that's great. We can include those things in there. But what if we want to do some more advanced things? Like, for example, if I'm offering this offer letter to somebody, we have this paragraph here, which is for getting a signing bonus. Now, not everybody gets a signing bonus, and it would be really awkward if we sent out an offer letter and they could see that paragraph that shows that they could have had an option of a signing bonus. So we only want that paragraph to show based on certain criteria. So we have our advanced section here where we can dynamically, based on the data that we provide, add additional things like conditional content or tables of information, where we might have arrays of information that we can have it generate those and populate those tables into here. We can also populate images. So for example, we wanted to change this logo based on which subsidiary company, you can easily add that and pass that image data as part of our JSON data. But for this section here, for this conditional content here, I can simply set the conditional content. We're going to set the condition here based on the bonus here. So we're going to choose bonus, and we want it to be if it is not equal to 0. So we want it to show if it's not equal to 0, and we can just simply click insert the condition, and it places this wrapper around this paragraph that'll only show if it is not equal to 0, or you can do greater than and so forth. So then if we preview this, this is going to then take that and it's going to only show that paragraph if that is met. Let's open that up, see that quick preview here. And we'll see that in this case, it is included. But if we go back and edit our data here, we can see that that's because the bonus value was 5,000 here. So if we turn that into 0, then we can generate our document once more. And if we have a look at the output here, now you'll see that that paragraph is missing there. So we give it a really easy tools for you to be able to create this template, and then using our document generation APIs, you can have those templates maintained. You can pass that data and generate it. Now, if you're also going to send something out for signature, you can also use the Adobe Sign tags in here to define where, for example, a signer needs to sign a document, and we can insert that tag. So when we take that output of that document and pass it to the Adobe Sign service, it will replace this with the signature tag for you to then simply click to be able to view and sign that document. So the whole value of this is easily creating templates. You don't have to create a whole bunch of different variations. You can add conditional logic, and based on the data, it'll dynamically add and remove sections, insert information in there. It's easy to create the templates. So as a developer, you're simply taking those templates, taking the data, and bringing them together. So some other examples of where this can apply is you think of employee onboarding experiences where you're pulling information and generating those packages. Think of sales proposals where you want information from, say, a CRM that you want to populate information into there, as well as any types of documents where people are typically taking information from systems of record and inserting that manually into documents. We can help automate that easily using document generation. So with that, I'll hand it back to Alicia.
Thanks a lot, Ben. Before you take off, can you tell everybody about the Word add-in and what kind of free trial they can use?
Sure. So one benefit is that you can go right onto adobe.io and you can get started, get credentials, and start playing with it right now. You can install the add-in just simply through the add-ins interface inside of Microsoft Word. And that gives you 1,000 free transactions. So you can start playing with it, get that working within your applications, and then you can always, and if you're ready, then you can fully subscribe, but you can start playing with that today instantly.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. Great demo. So let's talk about one of my favorites, which is PDF Extract API. Now, PDF Extract API provides, like I said, the capability for, let me get into the slide. So PDF Extract API actually leverages Adobe Sensei, which is our AI and machine learning platform. And so what it does is takes all of that content from a PDF, whether it's a scanned file or not scanned, if it's created manually. It takes all of the content, but we're not just pulling content or text out. We're pulling content out in context. And what I mean by that is we'll pull out a header, we'll pull out the boundaries of what we identify as a paragraph, for example. We also identify different nuances like font, if it's italicized or bold. So you can think about how it becomes really useful for things like searching contracts or other items that really are valuable and you find the font information type of thing. So the other thing that it provides is a full reading order. So we will identify the different paragraphs, whether there's multiple columns there for you to look at or images in between. We identify where all of that is located, and we do that very accurately because obviously we created the standard of PDF, and so who better to identify the document capabilities inside of these PDFs than Adobe. But we provide images. One other thing that we do is give you a CSV file if you'd like, if you have things like table data, which becomes important for things like looking at financial documents. You kind of want to have accuracy when you're looking at those numbers that are coming out of those tables. And so what people are using this for is actually taking that JSON data and of course, PNG files or CSV, depending on what's in the document, and they're feeding those into other machine learning models or natural language processing or other types of downstream processes. And so you can think about the way that people are using those PDF content extraction. One of the use cases, just to give you an idea, is that you can build like a risk mitigation report, for example. So let's say you have a set of files, like legal documents, for example, that have a lot of different data in them, and you're trying to identify the risk of what the content is in there for certain keywords. And so what you can do is actually take that data, wherever it's coming from, maybe it's coming from SharePoint, for example, and then you can use PDF Extract to pull out that data. You get your JSON data, your JSON file, and then you can parse that for the different keywords that are identified and where they are located in all of these documents, and actually build a report from that. And so that's one of the ways that PDF Extract can be used. But since we have a very technical crowd, what I wanted to do is invite Ben back so he can show us how PDF Extract looks as far as visualizing the data that gets pulled out of that file, because we thought that would be kind of interesting to see. Go ahead, Ben.
All right, if you can stop sharing your screen, I'll share mine.
Sorry, I will do that. There you go. A little story.
All right. So what I'm doing here is, this is a visual representation of essentially what comes back from our API. And this is a PDF here on the left. And we'll notice that this PDF has a lot of different things. It has paragraphs inside of here. It has like this list of this table of contents. It has some headers in here. And it also has things like tables and stuff. And if you've ever extracted information out of PDFs, a lot of times it's missing all of that structure that helps inform what is what inside the document. So PDF Extract here, what we're doing is, this is a live call here where it's going to pull out the text, the tables, and the styling information of each of the different elements in here. And if we have a quick look at some of the data in here, I'm just going to pull up a section here. You'll notice that for every element, what it's done is it's identified what are the paragraphs, what are the headers in here, and it gives us a lot of information about each of those different items. And it also structures it in the reading order of the document. So here we can see that it gives us the location of where it is on the document, but it also gives us things like that styling information. One of the examples of where the styling information is helpful is I had a use case where we needed to dynamically split a whole bunch of invoices. And by having to know where the next one started, the characteristic wasn't in the PDF. Someone was manually going and looking through those to see where the next header started. Well, knowing the styling information allows us to easily identify where those different sections are. Along with that, we can also see it gives us things like the text information in here. It gives us what page it's on, as well as if we look here and see the path here, and I'm just going to zoom in here just to make it a little bit easier for you guys to read. You'll notice that it gives us an actual path in the document. It gives you a structure. So we know that this is in the second section of the document, and it's a paragraph. So if we go to like the previous one, item here, we'll see that it gives us information that it is in the second section, and this is an aside, and it's a list of items inside of here. So it detected that it's an aside. It knows that each one of those are listed items and gives us a structure. This is really, really helpful for me to know the content of my document. Along with that, if I go scroll down here to say this here, it recognizes that this is the start now of a new section, and this is the header of that section. So this gives me a lot more structure of information. It's not just objects on the page. It gives me useful information about that I can then pull into systems easily. And this is great for republishing content into other formats, great for pulling information into CRM applications, or as Alicia mentioned, putting into like natural language processing systems. But along with that, what it also does is it can pull out the data, but also things like the any of the tables in here. So this table that was here on this last page, it typically when you are looking deep inside a PDF, really a table is just a bunch of lines and rectangles and pieces of text. There's nothing in there that's necessarily saying that this is an actual table. And through Extract, it can analyze and see that this is a table and pull that out and even export that out as an Excel file or a CSV file or as JSON so that you can easily take that and reuse that content. Really, really helpful. And then any of the actual images that exist inside the document are also easily parsable. So with this, it gives us full flexibility to be able to get any of the information that we have inside the PDFs and be able to republish and reuse them in there. One of the recent examples that Alicia mentioned was a scenario where there were certain clauses that people needed to find inside of a whole bunch of different documents, and we were able to identify those different clauses and generate, using document generation API, a report that showed exactly which pages of which documents that identified those different clauses there. So Extract API is extremely powerful. It gives you very reliable structure of the data for you to be able to use and unlock all of the content that exists in the 2.5 trillion PDFs that are created every single year in the world. Back to you, Alicia.
Thanks, Ben. And I'm really glad that you pointed out the fact that these APIs can be really kind of leveraged in conjunction with each other, because I think that's where a lot of the power comes from, is that you can leverage, Extract API, then PDF Services, or maybe something like Sign to really create this powerful workflow. And because the APIs are readily available, you can use them on the fly whenever you need to. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, so everybody here might be very familiar with ColdFusion. So I thought what I would do is show you a little bit of capabilities in the context of what's available in Document Services, and then what type of features might be also kind of aligned with ColdFusion on the ColdFusion side. And of course, these are not all the capabilities. So, those of you that know CF document and CF PDF functionality, this, of course, is not the breadth and the scope of all of those capabilities, obviously. But I wanted to show you in context of what's available in Document Services that you can do and what's readily usable today and from ColdFusion if you'd like to leverage these APIs. Now, CFPDF, those of you that are familiar know that it does much more than the get PDF properties or the metadata capabilities. I know that you have archiving, you have sanitization and watermarks and things like that that really might actually work really nicely with some of these API capabilities. And so what I want you to think about is leveraging, if you're using HTML to PDF, or using CF document or CF PDF for different capabilities, leveraging some of these APIs in some of those workflows as well. So thinking about, the additional capabilities that are now available to you as a result of these APIs being available, okay? So that's all I wanted to mention about that. Now, moving forward, how do you use this in ColdFusion? So these are REST-based APIs. So you can use it as a REST-based API. The easiest and fastest way to use this or leverage this within a ColdFusion application is by using the Java SDK. And our SDKs provide a number of readily available samples to you that you can use very quickly with, they have sample PDF files and things to use. So you just run those. Now, Ray Camden has a Medium blog article that I wanted to point everybody to, because he's already done the work in providing step-by-step information on how to get started with these APIs from a ColdFusion application. And I know he mentions it within his blog. He does mention there's a GitHub project that Tony Junkies has created, and he's got a GitHub repo there. This is the link, and it's also referenced inside of Ray's article. I wanted to point that out because there are some conflicts with some of the jar files, I believe, when you just drop it in to the bin directory, the library directory. And so Tony has done the work to actually fix all of those conflicts. And he also has working samples too. So great resource for anybody that wants to just get started in a few minutes with ColdFusion and using these APIs. So that's what I wanted to point out there and get you started with. Now, moving on, I really wanted to introduce you to the Microsoft capabilities, because I know that many of you, if you have ColdFusion applications, may not be on a Microsoft stack, or your business or your organization has Microsoft licensing. And so I want you to know that these capabilities are available to you to help automate without having to write a ton of code. So it's all low code, no code automation. And one of them is Power Automate. Power Automate has a user interface that allows you to create dynamic workflows using and leveraging these connectors. And there's about 400 or 500 different connector capabilities, including Adobe's with Adobe PDF Services and Adobe Sign. And so what you can do is just automate your processes using the user interface and create flows there. Now, programmatically, many of you are probably already using Azure instances, and you have ColdFusion on Azure. Azure also has logic apps that might be a little bit more geared toward application development and application developers in general. So Logic Apps does have a VS Code plugin that you can install and use to build logic apps in your workflows. And I just wanted to point out that what you build in Logic Apps will become like an HTTP endpoint. So you can use CFHTTP to trigger that endpoint and start that workflow. So it's all a very simplified solution that you can create on the fly and hopefully avoid, if you need to, a lot of code writing by leveraging some of these dynamic capabilities in Microsoft. And the important thing I wanted to point out here today is that all of the two connectors that we have for document services, all of those can be leveraged now inside of Logic Apps or Power Automate at any given time. So you can use these interchangeably as well there as you're building these out. And so taking a little bit deeper dive into that, when you look at Power Platform, there's PDF Services connector and there's Adobe Sign connector. And so under PDF Services, you'll have all of the different services that we just talked about today, including document generation, the PDF services with more than a dozen different APIs for transforming those documents. And then PDF Extract is also coming in extremely soon. So by next month, Extract capabilities will be also available in Power Platform. And then of course, Adobe Sign is also there too. So you have the full capabilities of integrating Sign in with any of these workflows through the Microsoft capabilities. Now, one of the cool things that we have if you're not familiar with Microsoft Power Automate, is these templates. And so what we've done is built templates to create workflows that are very common. And some of the most popular workflows is what I'll call them, are basically just getting signatures from on a file in SharePoint, either saving agreements on a SharePoint library. So we have a lot of different templates that have different types of basic flows or common flows that you might be able to take advantage of. Same with PDF services. So we've got different pre-built templates for both the PDF services piece and then also the document generation pieces as well. So if you want to try these out and just maybe you have a whole bunch of documents in SharePoint that you need to have OCR to make those files fully text searchable and create a search index of your PDFs. You have the capability of just throwing that into an automated workflow and then setting that to run on a regular schedule, for example. So tons of capabilities inside of Power Automate. And I believe I'm going to invite Ben up in again to show us a demo of what the Microsoft Power Automate platform looks like with our services. Ben?
All right, cool. And so what we're going to see right now is a couple things. First off, if this is your first time seeing Microsoft Power Automate, one of the really, really cool and powerful things is that there's over 400 different connectors within here to be able to connect a variety of different applications together. And this works for both Power Automate and logic apps for service applications. And you'll notice inside of here that we have our Creative Cloud, PDF Services, and Adobe Sign connectors, so you can easily connect to any one of them. And if I go inside of here, we'll see that there's, as Alicia was mentioning before, there's a lot of different pre-existing templates that you can use as your basis here. So like this one, which is a very popular one of whenever you can drop a file into a folder inside of SharePoint, you could have it automatically OCR it or optical character recognition so that it can make it searchable so that it can be indexed by SharePoint. And document generation, as well as a variety of other ones, are available in here. As a quick demo, I actually have a flow here that I've created within Power Automate that what it does is when I drop a set of files into a folder, it's going to get the information about that file, and it's going to use our get properties action in here. And just for reference of just how easy it is to add any of our different functions into here, it's really just a matter of configuration. So I can choose if I wanted to say like protect a document. It's as simple as just simply choosing what action I want to do and just configuring what things that I want to include in there. So it's really simple. But what this is going to do is it's going to get the properties in there, and based on whether the document has been signed, say with like an electronic signature with Adobe Sign, or whether it's a scanned document, it's going to go check in, and then based on that, it's going to process each one of those for what it needs, whether it's signed. In that case, it's just going to update the properties. If it's scanned, it's going to OCR that and then send that through a review process. So let's have a quick look at what this is going to look like. So I have the documents in here that I'm going to drop into SharePoint. We're just going to put those in there. And we're going to see real time as it is going to start processing these. Just let's give a quick second for it to start showing us. And it's going to do this for all of the different documents all at the same time. You know, a lot of times it's very a linear process, but it's doing it in tandem for each one of those all at the same time. And we notice that it's already completed one of them here. But if we go back into our contracts in here, we'll see, if I just quickly refresh here, see that it picked up that this document was signed using Adobe Sign, because it can get the information about the PDF and determine based on that information, like whether it was signed, whether it was scanned or not. It can use that information to then pull that information out, and see that it also detected that this one was a scanned document. If we open it up, sure enough, it was a scanned document, but now it's also made that searchable, so you can index that inside of SharePoint, and it's selectable text there. Now, the type of information that comes out of this is things like the page count, the contents of any of the pages, and whether different pages have images on them, whether the number of images, whether it has text. All of that information gets extracted out, so that can help inform decisions on automated workflows in here. So this is just a quick example of how you're able to take a whole bunch of PDFs, automate that process to then inform how you need to process those, OCR, or taking those and going through a review process. Regardless, all these are at your fingertips. You don't have to write code to be able to do this. And these can be very complementary to some of your ColdFusion applications, because you could then make a call to some of these services that you build in here and then provide the results also back into your ColdFusion apps. So with that, I'll hand it back to Alicia once more to close us out.
Thanks a lot, Ben. That's awesome. So I am going to wait for you to stop sharing, and then I will share my screen for the last couple slides so we can get into QA. So many of you are wondering how to get started. I think we have a few different areas where you would want to look into. One of them is just to go to our website and check out the different services. Sign up for that free trial that gives you 1,000 PDF transactions. And then for document generation, I feel like the word add-in is kind of a key element to being able to not only create your templates, but also, I don't know if you noticed, but inside of Ben's demo, he was generating the document through the API directly from within the Word template using that add-in. So I'm just going to say that's a key element. Just try it out. I know Ray Camden actually uses this quite frequently when he's testing things out, and he said it's awesome to be able to test things out without having to write any code and just see what the inputs are, what the result is coming back before you actually start writing all of that code. So great thing to have. And then the Adobe Tech Blog. So our evangelism team, super busy all the time, pushing out great content on how to use all of the different APIs that we have. And so if there's specific functionality you're looking for, like extraction or document generation, or even just some of the other services like PDF embed or OCRing documents, all of that content is there on the Medium blog. So I thought that was a great resource to get started as well. Now I'd like to get into the Q&A, and I will invite Ben back up because I think we had a question from one person, and I'm going to go ahead and try to read that. I know I saw something. Do you want to?
So there were a couple of ones that came up. I've been looking at them. One question was, does the compress service as part of our PDF services support XDP PDFs? So those are ones that came out of Lifecycle. So at this point in time, our PDF services do not support XDP files. I wouldn't say that it is in our short-term roadmap to support XDP files. So no, we don't currently support that right at the moment. Another question was about, do we just work with Microsoft Office documents? And I think this is in reference to document generation. And in that case, actually, no, because we have our Word-based templates that you can use. We also have our HTML-based templates that you can also build. So you can build your templates in HTML, pass it to our services, and we'll output a PDF. You can pass a JSON object along with that and merge those together. You can also provide a URL and it'll return back a PDF from there. So multiple different ways that you can generate PDFs based on either Word documents or HTML. Or if you're using any of the Office formats like Excel or Word or PowerPoint, then we'll convert those into PDFs as well.
There's one more question that also came up, Ben. Just curious, does Document Sign create an image, a JavaScript canvas object, a JSON object, etc.? I've heard about it, just haven't fully explored. So do you want to talk about the signature? Sure.
So what happens as part of Adobe Sign, when you pass a document, just so you know, you don't have to use document generation to pass documents to Adobe Sign. You can use any type of common document format, PDF, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, yada, yada, yada. Any one of those different file formats you can pass there. And we have a drag and drop interface online that you can place where those fields go. Now, when you embed that into an application, what that does is that allows you to be able to iframe the signing experience within your app. And so it will embed that viewing experience. I'm going to pull this up in a quick second here, but it allows you to embed that signing experience, and the output from that, so it'll allow you to be able to scribble your signature, or you can type in your signature. It embeds that into the PDF, and it outputs a PDF. The result of that then is a certified tamper evident PDF that you can then store, and it gives you also an audit report of who signed when and where as part of that document. Give me a quick second. I'll show an example of that.
Sure, no problem. And I think does anybody else have any questions right now? I don't see any other different kinds of questions right now in the chat, but I'll go ahead and stop sharing so you'll be able to share. If you have any other questions, feel free to put that in there. I see something new coming up right now. Any plans to add other document formats such as LibreOffice, OpenOffice files? So, I mean, I can start that then. Right now, we do not have plans to add other file types right now that I know of, but I think I'll let Ben add context to that if he knows of any other files. I don't think that the product team is looking at any other types of files right now, except for the XSL documents that we're looking into.
And also, honestly, whether it's LibreOffice, OpenOffice, or Google Docs, all of them also allow you to be able to output a Word document. So we don't have a plan for supporting other formats, just because that is a universal format that any of your like word processors can output to.
Great point, Ben. Now, I think we have 5 minutes left. So yeah, maybe you can show us something about Adobe Sign. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so to go back to that previous question here, one of the things that you can do with Adobe Sign is you can create what's called a web form, which allows you to be able to embed a signing experience directly into a web page like we can see in here. So it'll represent that PDF on the page here, and you can have fields of information inside of here. So take a lot of your PDFs that are usually downloaded onto the computer, you can turn them into interactive forms really quickly, so that then a person can just fill out their information. And one of the great things about this also is if you have like information like a phone number, you'll notice that there's this red dot here that shows that it's required there. But you can even set validation on fields, like if I just put information in here, it's actually going to say, no, you have to put a phone number in this in order for you to be able to complete this process. And then when you complete this, let's just complete this here. Manager, anywhere, California. Then we can go ahead and sign this here. And we can sign this by typing in our signature. So we can say John Echostone, or we can draw our signature. Or in more regulated spaces where it might require a digital signature, or like in the EU, there's qualified signatures and advanced signatures. We do also support those too. So it applies that signature onto the document, and the output of that really is essentially a PDF document. So you can then, if you open up that PDF on your computer here, we'll see that it shows the signed document. It places the signature where we had in there, as well as the form information. And it also signs that with a digital certificate to validate that the document hasn't changed as it's been stored there. So that's just a quick view of what Adobe Sign looks like. It's a really, really powerful tool to tie into forms, into documents that you need to capture signatures, and taking those documents that we generate with Document Generation API.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. That was a great, little last minute demo that we got of Adobe Sign as well. So I believe we're at time now. We really thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you learned a few things, and hope you're really excited to start using these APIs in your ColdFusion applications. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.